So we have the Yuka app and the Olive app as examples of basically these like food grading systems.
Yes, the healthy, holistic food scanners.
Yeah, the food scanners that are basically eat this, not that,
Hmm.
mobile device 2025 edition. And so let's it depends energy this yay or nay, but talk to us a little bit about these food scanner apps as they, come in more and more from clients. Like what's your take on them?
I get a lot of questions on these. Oh, Laura, do you use Yuka? Do you like these apps? What's your read? And I'm at a place where I kind of look and I say, they interest me, yet I can see a lot of harm. So I can see the helpful side, I can also see the harmful side. And I think zooming out a bit, we'll start with the helpful, right?
Please just start.
We'll start with positives, right? If we look at the positives, it is a very quick, simple way for someone who does not feel super confident or educated in reading food labels to scan something that has a barcode and to find out, is this helpful, harmful? Is this good for me to eat? Are there better alternatives?
Mm, I
Which
love
I
that last one.
think is a really important thing. I don't want to demonize it because I think they can be very helpful for some people, especially with certain food products that have a very long list of ingredients where this is the social media react, right? Where people are in the grocery store, look at this, look at that, look at this. We can't pronounce this word. Well, maybe one of those words is thiamine. And that's a B vitamin and we need thiamine. Okay?
Yeah,
So it's sometimes we don't have all of the information present as a general public.
well said.
You or me, I feel like we're pretty confident in the nutrition world, I'd say.
Yeah.
I can read an ingredients label and kind of make that decision myself. The other piece is, I would say on the counterpart of that, is it can really oversimplify something.
Mhm.
It's also not looking at what else am I eating? What else does my day look like? How much of said ingredient am I
Yes.
eating? And I said the example to you earlier and to a client, I don't know, a week or two ago. I said, well, let me scan, Sour Patch Kids. It's going to come up with probably pretty bad,
Yeah.
right?
F.
F. Um, but like, what if I have, 6 Sour Patch Kids and the rest of my day is oats with Greek yogurt and blueberries and, turkey sausage or some eggs and, a chicken burrito bowl with black beans and plenty of vegetables and some guacamole and dinners, maybe, some salmon and stir fry a veg over some soba
There
noodles,
we go.
right?
Yeah.
Is it really problematic that I'm having 6 Sour Patch Kids? No. But do I feel bad buying them all of a sudden because I scan this ingredient and it's an F, that's horrible for you?
Yeah.
Potentially, right? It kind of you have to look at the mindset of somebody. So it can be really triggering in that sense. A positive for me, again, is it tells me that that person that's sitting in my office that says, Laura, I'm using this app to help me. They're trying to increase their awareness around food,
Yeah.
which excites me. Because a lot of us move throughout the day with zero cares about
Mhm.
what we're putting into our body.
Reactive.
Reactive, or it's the fastest, most convenient thing.
Mhm.
So that really excites me for somebody to start looking in and saying, okay, you know what? I like this snack food. This is fast. It's easy for me in the morning or mid afternoon or wherever. All of a sudden, you know what? I normally have this bar and I chose this bar this time because it's a better score, Laura. What do you think? I'm going to say, great. I'm also going to say, could we eat food that looks like food that belongs in nature? Right? Can we get to that point eventually? But this is a really great step in the right direction. And so I think a lot of times these apps can create this atmosphere where it's eat this, not that, like we
Mhm.
had said, which is just so oversimplified. Nutrition has so much more nuance to it.
Yeah. That's beautifully said. And that's why I said that that was the original book, right? Eat This, Not That, where it came
Mhm.
out. And I think it was the early 90s. And it was that first grading of food situation. And as you're saying so well, it comes from good intentions. And if you use it right, it's a directional win. Like it'll point you in the right direction. But what we see, unfortunately, from our side of the desk is the people that treat it like it is law.
Yes.
And there's a big difference between what you just said, which is what you want the app to do, which is
Mhm.
the person scans the item and it gives a cool alternative that lets them trying new things, or they're chatting with you and they're able to recognize that the app grades something as an individual. And it's really hard to say how pretty a puzzle is when you only have one piece in your hand. So your beautiful puzzle that you articulated of this day of food, it's like, let's pile that up and put 6 Sour Patch Kids in there and tell me that it's somehow destroyed. Like that's such a perfectionistic perspective. And that's wrong. It's just
Right.
objectively wrong. The way that those 6, the 11 grams of sugar that that's going to give or whatever is going to hit your bloodstream. It makes it
I'm gonna get
null.
insulin resistance though.
and
No, it's not how it
and
works.
that's in an attempt to, as a society, in an attempt to keep things to 140 characters, we've unfortunately created a lot of all or nothing thinking where things are objectively
Mhm.
good or bad because they are. And we don't realize that, again, food is a combination. Your diet is a blend of things, and the combinations do matter. And so, dosing, like you said, matters so much. And so, we've seen the eat this, not that, and the various Nutri scores and all these things over the years that have, unfortunately, in an attempt to help people think about other options, have created, instead of what I would call guidelines, like rigid rules internally. And so for me, these apps, I'm more interested in how the person's using them rather than that they're using them. So it's that, I've been using that Yuka app. What do you think? It's like, yeah, it's got some pretty good info. Like, how are you using it? And if
Exactly.
it's what you said, if they're like, yeah, it's just like whenever I get like a new product, I scan it just to get a peek at it and it shows me some alternatives. So it's like broadened our pantries and given us some other options. And then sometimes it's like motivated me to make freaking carrot sticks and have some hummus instead. It's like, wow, sounds like a really productive tool in your toolbox.
That's a win. I've also seen the exact opposite where
Mm,
said client goes through their pantry and fridge and throws out all of the things that are not a C or above.
yeah.
To which, a lot of these things can really create much more anxiety and food fears and perfectionist thinking and all of this high anxiety and stress surrounding food. Food shouldn't be stressful.
Well
It
said.
should be something that's an add to our life, right? Something that's fun, enjoyable. Like eating should be fun, people. Um, newsflash, if we didn't learn that
Hot
yet,
take.
right? Hot take. Food should taste good and make us feel good.
Delicious and nutritious.
And that's where, if I always kind of tell the clients, I want us to zoom out a bit. And if we're able to zoom out and say, okay, hey, if the worst thing that I have in my diet is the occasional, packaged food product, whether it be a snack food or something that's processed, ooh, it's a terrible word, right? It's not a dirty word.
Yeah.
It just means that something has been done to those food ingredients for them to be either more readily available or faster cooking or something. And if that's the worst thing I can point out in somebody's diet and lifestyle, I think they're doing pretty well.
I would totally agree. I would totally agree. I think, and I'm going to say this because this is going to come up in our next couple segments. I think we're about to beat this to death. But most people, especially those that are going to use these apps, so there's a certain level of nutritional awareness, health awareness, and self awareness that's going to come from the users that download these.
Mhm.
And most of those people are very, very disconnected from where like the what we'll call the average health of America is right now.
Yeah.
And so they're seeing the obesity epidemic and they're seeing this autoimmune just incidence and prevalence skyrocket. And we're, watching, data that's showing things like autism. And we're trying to find things we can do about it. And so once again, like I get where the fear is coming from and I get where the desire to take action is coming from. But if you don't understand the environment itself, you're missing a lot of the map. And so the average American consumes over 3,400 calories a day. while needing between 2,000 and 2,400.
Mhm.
The average American gets 2,500 steps a day, where 10 to 12,000 is considered. The average American consumes one serving of vegetables per week.
And a half cup of tomato sauce counts, so pizza counts as a
Yeah,
vegetable.
and so pizza's in there. People, I love that. I'm so happy. I love that
I
you
remember
you're
learning
like,
that at my master's program in Pitt,
yeah.
and my jaw just hit the ground. I'm like, "Wait, that
And you're
counts?"
like, oh no, we've gone so
Oh,
far.
no.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the V8 splash juice counts as a fruit and a vegetable. And again, the average American consumes a vegetable a week, a fruit a week,
Mhm.
fast food 7 to 8 times per week, consumes 4 liters of soda per week.
Mm.
And so that is the average. That is what we were saying is like the typical. And most of the people using this app are so far from that, which means they've already done the major things to like take them out of the hunt for a lot of these
I'll also
core
say those
issues.
people are not crushing it, though.
Well said.
They're not quite crushing it.
Yeah, that's well said. But it's all to note that like I think that becomes this problem is there's this you're looking to solve a problem that is shown to you by national data, but then you're not actually looking at the data points of the nation. You're looking at your data points. So you start criticizing your 6 Sour Patch Kids because you're consuming sugar because you keep hearing us talking about how we need to reduce added sugar. The average American consumes 120 grams of added sugar per day. And so again, your 11 that you do on a Tuesday randomly on occasion paired with some lunch meal that's otherwise very satiating is not the problem. Is it the same ingredient? Yes, but it's dosed completely differently.
It's taking the generalized nutrition advice to the individual that's not for. I
Yes.
have that conversation with very high level exercisers, athletes, we'll call them, right? They're not traditionally on a team or
Yeah.
anything, but high level exercisers. I My favorite recommendation is let's get a Rice Krispie treat involved as a pre-workout.
Yeah.
People's face, Laura, what?
What?
How dare you? Do you know the added sugar in there, Laura? I'm like, yes, I do. And that is fuel for those muscle cells. But they hear added sugar, they hear Rice Krispie treat, they hear sugar, marshmallow fluff, whatever, and automatically assume, well, no, I shouldn't do that. That
Kellogg's bought
generalized.
Laura off. She's paid by big
I'm
food.
sponsored. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. That'd be cool though.
Yeah. Hey, give us a shout.
Give
No.
me a shot. No, no, no. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'll pass. But it's that ability to say that sugar fuels those cells. That generalized nutrition advice of, hey, watch added sugar, get it down as low as you can, that's for generalized individuals. That is not for you, marathon runners. That is not for
Beautifully
you,
said.
high level athletes. You need the sugar. Otherwise, you're trying to get it through fruit or other whole foods. Yes, you might be able to get a substantial amount of calories. It's going to make you feel so much more full, though, which
Yeah.
then we look at the whole day. Some of my marathon runners, they need 3,600 calories in a day, and they're sitting there saying, Laura, I can't eat anymore.
Yeah.
Too bad.
That's why athletes tend to eat some of this stuff. It's so funny when you start to realize like, so why do we quote unquote demonize those foods? It's like, well,
Yeah.
because the average person needs to feel full on less, and
Mhm.
those foods don't help you feel full on less. But if you have an athlete that's trying to get energy in really quickly, full is not good. It's actually bad.
Sammy, that's going to run 20 miles, needs it. Susie Q, that's an accountant sitting at her desk, does not need it.
Yeah. And that's to her, it's going to spike her blood sugar and her body doesn't need it. And so it's going to do a whole bunch of things and we don't need to go way down that rabbit
Yeah.
hole. Where the person that's active, it's going to be a super highway straight to the muscle tissue and help with performance. And you start to realize like that is the same food and having two vastly different outcomes. And that is where when I say grading a puzzle piece without looking at the puzzle is wrong, that's why. That's just
Right.
another reason why it makes no sense. And again, it's people trying to oversimplify info with coming from good intention.
Right.
But when you oversimplify, you always end up leaving some nuance that jeopardizes a segment of people. And so then when you take an app like these, who is already speaking to an audience that is farther along in this, you end up feeding them with like almost fear mongering. And more often than not, they come in afraid to eat.
Yes.
And that's the
Yeah.
piece of this puzzle. And so how they use this tool is the thing I'm always curious about. Is, as we've said, do they use it as an asset or a resource, or are they just like absolutely attached to it and trembling and like, I don't know what to eat anymore. Like everything's bad.
Everything's horrible unless I scan carrots. And
Yeah.
okay, then they turn orange because
And they,
they've eaten so many carrots.
yeah. Or they
It's
get a B plus because they have a little more sugar than their
yeah.
counterparts,
Oh,
which
so true.
that's one of the last pieces. I know we got to like riff about this a little bit. People using these apps are trusting those grading it to have been
Mhm.
grading this well. And I will say openly that historically, that has been a massive fail, which is the algorithms that have been used to grade food have been exceedingly short sighted. And we have the current ones, they use the Nutri-Score, which is one of the foundational ones that basically punishes saturated fat and sugar,
Sodium.
and sodium. Which let's go down a sodium rabbit hole at some point.
We could have a whole podcast on it.
We really could. So we won't fractal. And then it promotes basically produce and fibers and proteins and that stuff, which sounds great at base until you realize that there is an algorithm that's meant to like decide that those are perfect ratios. And most foods are not all of those things. Most foods are an ingredient of a meal that is all of those things. Like rice gets a really bad grade on this because it's just carbohydrate. But you're not supposed to eat a bowl of rice and call it dinner. You're supposed to pair it with a protein and a fat
Sounds
and a
like a
vegetable.
really boring dinner.
Yeah, just sit there and eat rice. And so when you grade an ingredient and then because of its grade, you say you can't eat it, you are removing things that could be paired with a team to get an A. Rice with broccoli and chicken and some sort of cool tasty sauce is a really great meal, but rice by itself sucks.
Right.
I could say the same about most vegetables and things though too, right?
True.
And that's where these scoring things, sometimes they will disproportionately give good grades to things with high micronutrient count but low macronutrient count, which is assuming that you need a bunch of vitamin and minerals and don't need a bunch of calories, which is only true if you're a low calorie burning human. But if you're a fit human that's doing all sorts of CrossFit classes or whatever it is, and then you're grading this and these foods are getting debunked, not even because of their sugar intake, but because of their caloric ratio to micronutrient, once again, rice gets put out to pasture. And so what is the point of rice? It is, I eat that with the intention of carbohydrate.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Carbs are friends, not foes.
So that's the other thing is I would just, for those of you using this app, if you are obsessing over it and you're poking hole, like you're living by it, keep in mind that you're choosing to live by someone else's lens and you're assuming that their lens is accurate. And unfortunately, when I look at the back end algorithms of these things, they're pretty busted. And sometimes they have the audacity to put their own opinions in.
Mm.
So they're not even rooted in the actual science. They're rooted in preference. So you're not just scanning food and getting objective data, which you're then using objectively to make like extremely rigid decisions. But instead, you're using some almond mom's own eating disorder to justify your stupid choices.
Eek.
Like, oh, that's rough.
Not great. Not great, Bob.
So any key takeaways that we didn't, I think we parsed that one pretty well.
Yeah, I think how you use it matters. I think the value is sometimes with the alternative ideas,
I love
but
that.
it really looks at that food item that you're scanning. What's our portion? What's our quantity? What else is with it? And what else are you eating in the day?
Yes.
Right. And I think those questions an app can't answer.
Well said. You can scan it. It can give you an idea. I would ask questions of, okay, why did it get the bad grade?
Mhm.
Is it because it's a pure carbohydrate source, which means I should probably use it when I'm looking for a pure carbohydrate source? Notice how
Or
it's a
pair
puzzle
it
piece.
with other things.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a part of a meal, right? So these puzzle pieces aren't all going to be that. Sometimes they're meant to be paired with things, and so that we have to keep that in mind. You said it perfectly. Like, is this something that I'm eating in abundance and all the time? Is this something that's being peppered into my diet? When I pile up my day, what does my day look like? And so and that's where we come in, to be perfectly honest. You start to realize these are tools, and like meal plans and so many of the other tools that we use, how the person uses the tool matters. And our role oftentimes is to challenge how they're using the tool to make sure they're using it appropriately.
It's also helping them make sure that they're learning with that tool because A tool like this, just blindly following the grade that you're given, or blindly following a meal plan or something that somebody found online, you're not learning anything.
Yeah.
And the piece of saying, hey, you're going to be the healthiest version of yourself, you have to learn in that process.
Well said.